Hello, I'm Giles Darling and I write novels, plays and non-fiction books. In this video I continue to show an example of how to create dozens of story ideas from a what-if moment. This follows the process outlined in my How to Create Story Ideas videos, which I include a link to below. In my previous video I created some story idea outlines based on a group of open-ended questions. In this final video I show some further steps that you can take to expand the number of story ideas. One way is to change or swap subplots between the ideas. For example, the animal from the talking pet story idea could replace the middle-aged child in the age difference story idea. The pet will provide an opportunity for a different perspective on the mismatched couple. The carpenter and the trees in the talking trees story idea could be changed to a chef and talking food. If all food talks, including vegetables, not just animals, how would the chef cope in heaven if there's no cooking and no eating at all? Another way to create more story ideas is to switch or swap your characters' traits or details. For example, if your characters are strong, make them weak. If they are confident, make them nervous. Thinking back to the talking pet story idea again, currently the pet has the upper hand and its former owner feels shame and remorse. Changing this power balance by making the pet nervous and the owner defiant changes the outcome of this story. Alternatively, swap old and young characters, rich and poor characters, or male and female characters. Returning to the tech-savvy story idea, maybe the video game player is actually middle-aged, while the ancestor is a child who perhaps died in a medieval plague. Instead of the game player adapting to the simple life, now that the ancestor is a child, maybe he or she takes a liking to video games instead. Changing the story's genre or point of view can also generate more story ideas. For example, the earlier Odd Couple story idea, where heaven runs out of space and two incompatible people share a home, would probably be a comedy. However, what if one of the pair kills the other? Then the story becomes a murder mystery. Another example is the earlier remarried widow and widower love triangle story. This sort of problem could occur a lot in heaven, so some sort of couples guidance service run by a group of angels has probably already been created. Telling the story from the point of view of this group of angels could create a different story idea. We can also explore different time periods or settings for our stories to create more ideas. The remarried love triangle story will have a different dynamic if the widow and widower lived in the 18th or 19th centuries rather than the present day. When they meet their former wife and husband again in heaven, they will experience much deeper conflicting emotions than a present-day couple would, making for a more thoughtful story idea. If the reincarnation story idea is set in the future, when space travel is widespread and religion is a niche lifestyle choice, then our hero will be less surprised to discover that heaven is only a staging post, or that there are other planets on which to be reincarnated. Finally, we can add an unexpected twist at the end of the story to create a new, different story idea. Returning to the reincarnation story idea, what if the hero can choose when in history he or she is to be sent back to? Could our hero be reincarnated as one of his or her own ancestors, thus creating a spiritual equivalent of the grandparent time travel paradox? Thinking back to the talking pet or talking tree story ideas, what if the main character discovers at the end of the story that in heaven it's the animals and the trees who are actually in charge, and that human beings are caged or cut down and made into furniture? The "it was all a dream" end of story twist has become cliché. However, because our story ideas involve death and wiping memories, it's more conceivable that our character could doubt what they've just experienced is true or just a dream, particularly for the reincarnation story or the story where our hero is exiled from heaven and banished to earth. Your story idea doesn't need to end conclusively. It's often better to end ambiguously with an element of doubt. Thank you for watching this video. Please feel free to use any of these story ideas for your own novels, plays, screenplays and TV scripts. Please also check out the rest of my YouTube channel, especially where I discuss the various books that I've written. I hope my channel encourages you to buy my books and to read them if you haven't already done so. Finally, please feel free to leave comments below and to like and subscribe this video on my YouTube channel. Bye bye.